Are the Trial of the Gods returning? Well, there is reason to believe it thanks to a new article from Kotaku that also includes info on side content, the world, the AI and way more. So as always, let's get into the new gameplay details. A like on the video would be super appreciated, and let's go. Congrats to Myra for winning the first May giveaway for a 2020 game. He chose Cyberpunk, but I have another May giveaway going on right now, so if you haven't participated yet, then you can do so via the link in the pinned comments. And be sure you are a subscriber as well of the channel before you enter. Good luck. Kotaku's Steven Totillo was able to interview Ashraf Ismail, the creative director on Valhalla, and got away with some very interesting answers. Of course, as always, the link is in the description. And I want to start with the final part of the article actually, because he got reached out by a person late last year who shared a ton of details on the game, including that the name would be Valhalla, while back then, of course, everyone thought that it would be Ragnarok. They said players would build a settlement, could take over territory and dual-wield weapons. They said players would be able to create characters that could raid other players' games. And that final part likely refers to that create your own raider feature, right? Where we can share a raider online and then other people can use it in their raid party. So yes, so far everything turned out to be true, but there's still one thing that this person also told Steven, but that isn't confirmed yet. They said players would be able to fight gods from Norse mythology in dreamlike sequences. Sounds awesome and also familiar, right? It was just a shame that Odyssey did not have these Trial of the Gods that we saw in Origins, because the scope of these fights, seeing the enormous boss, was really awesome. They already hinted at the fact that we should not expect any mythical creatures in Valhalla, so maybe this is their way to still have awesome boss fights inspired by the Norse mythology. So yes, while it seems pretty likely, it is still a rumor. Ashraf responded by saying, "I don't talk about rumors." He did not nuke it down, but I'm sure that if these encounters are indeed in the game, we will already see glimpses of that in the trailer. We saw that for Origins and Odyssey too. Like, even for Odyssey, we had a pre-release trailer that already included Argus that would launch more than 3 months after the game came out. Assassin's Creed Valhalla should be very grounded, so dreamlike sequences make sense, so they can still do kind of magical things. Maybe not a glitch in the animus like we saw for the Trial of the Gods, but more like the giant snake from the main story, where Bayek was drugged after performing a ritual. Tasso XL had a great theory in the comments under my recent videos, and sure, you can put your theories there, but really the easiest way for me to see them is via the input@JorRaptor.com email address, so if you got any interesting input, send it that way. So Tasso says that we might see Vikings sitting around a campfire, maybe at our settlement, telling stories, and then that we maybe relive those stories by playing them. Totally a possibility. He was referring here to the Beowulf Season Pass mission that will of course be in the game. But the description says, discover the cruel truth behind the legend. So I would not be surprised if we just find out that the dragon did not exist instead. Although I would love to fight it, of course. Valhalla should really give us good reasons why things are happening. And I have another example of that a little later. We will likely get a good reason why Odin might have been with us on the battlefield, or maybe Eivor just sees things. At least it should be explained. Overall, I'm curious if these boss battles are like part of the post-launch plan, like the Trial of the Gods, or more a main game side content thing. I would love both. And talking more about the narrative content, we actually now learned that you sometimes have a choice in how you resolve things, and that not everything leads to violence. You get caught up into a journey, we give options within that, so sometimes, yes, it means that you can, let's say, negotiate to resolve something. And this according to Ashraf. And of course we will still have a ton of combat encounters, but it's interesting that you can also choose to shed no blood, although not every enemy faction is of course willing to negotiate. And I think this is a cool example of how the dialogue system can give you more control over your journey and how you handle these difficult times between the Vikings and the Saxon soldiers. Overall though, it will work different than in Odyssey. First of all, Ashraf noted on the Washington Post, podcast that they wanted to give a good explanation for the dialogue system in the first place. We are of course reliving DNA memories of someone, so how can we change that? Well, there should be an explanation in this game. And in terms of Eivor, we can also choose how he or she reacts to things, but all the choices in the game or things that you get to say are things that Eivor would say or do as well. So these choices should make more sense for this ambitious lone wolf that is a leader of the community. Where in Odyssey it was sometimes all over the place, you could be a dick or a real nice person in many different situations. In the teaser trailer we got glimpses at the world of Valhalla, my favorite part of this footage by the way. And we also saw a Christian cross followed up by a more Norse ritual. And the difference between those two cultures will play a big role in this map. Different parts of the country had different practices, different beliefs, different ways of living the life. And we used those details. We were meticulous about this and we want people to discover that. And makes sense because we have 4 kingdoms and of course the Vikings already took over a large part of the map as we see here in pink. There's a lot of deep storytelling that is happening in all this optional content. So for sure it's there because we want people to see it. So uncovering how these people lived and what their beliefs were will be explored a ton in side quest. And Ashraf once again assured us that if you just want to focus on the main story and not engage in this side content, then you can totally do that. But it sounds like you will miss a big part of the map and many stories by doing so. The side missions in the previous games were mostly standalone things. In Odyssey I liked it when they were more connected to the location and other nearby missions. The one with Kira and Teletas always comes to mind. They also showed this during E3 2018. Here you could choose to align with one of them and go for the stealthy or more aggressive approach to lower Athens' grip of the island. And your choices could also lead to romances with either character or even the death of both of them. And you could totally miss this content because no main mission would lead you to it. And I think we will see a lot of that in Valhalla as well. And overall it seems like the world will be more handcrafted this time around. There's a lot of studios involved, as you know, but the goal was, it's about uniqueness. It's about respecting our players' time and giving them mysteries and puzzles to sort of resolve. And here I'm speaking a bit conceptual, but there are bigger mysteries at play. There are bigger puzzles that need to be unraveled with really intriguing truths behind them. One big puzzle in Origins immediately comes to mind with the Izu armor, where we had to collect 50 silica, complete all the stone circles and then go back to a tomb that would then in the end give us one of the coolest outfits in the game. And yeah, we of course saw it again in the final episode of the Atlantis DLC and even got some variants on that. No, but going back to Origins, this was totally optional but worth the trouble. And it seems like Valhalla will have stuff like this as well that you can't totally miss. And Ashraf also quickly touched on the amount of studios that are involved and that it also helped with making this handcrafted world. Like all the 15 studios that you see here in this awesome image from Access the Animus are working on this game. So high chance that some studios are responsible for a specific part of the map, while Ubisoft Montreal oversees it all. I would not be surprised if Sofia did a huge part like they did in Origins, or that Ubisoft Singapore, who is of course also working on Skull and Bones, has the more water-rich areas once again. In Odyssey, Mesera and Pevka were made by a different studio, and knowing that makes you realize that that part indeed felt a little different and more connected than other parts of the world. It is my favorite area in Odyssey for sure. We should be able to explore Puzzlewood in Valhalla, that is over here on the map, so close to Wales, and actually Stonehenge as well. According to Wikipedia, it was an open cast iron ore mine place in the Roman period, and it's actually used in a ton of movies as well, like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 had a part here. Steven also asked about the NPCs and if they would still have a daily routine and sleep during night, making it easier to take them out, to which Ashraf said that everything is being built on top of previous games and pushed much further. In that Washington Post interview, we also learned that the game is still running on the Anvil Next 2 engine that was introduced with Unity and has been used and improved upon every time since, so we should totally expect the same routines and even upgrades to how NPCs behave, especially in our settlement. And I want to do a huge video on the settlement soon because there's a lot to discuss there. Ubisoft Canada on Facebook also shared this new screenshot saying see the future, and I think we see female Eivor here, right? And I can see more Valhalla videos in the future, so totally subscribe if you are new, okay, really bad, to miss nothing regarding this game. And of course your theories about this picture are more than welcome in the comments down below. Like the video to support the channel and totally check out my recent Valhalla video on your raiding party and how that really changes the game. For now though, I will speak to you next time and goodbye.